So,
Okay.
all right.
We are recording now for educational and promotional purposes.
Great. Welcome. It's great to welcome you back because we're taking another step on creating a culture of empathy. And we really believe that by doing the empathy circle practice, we're actually creating that reality, that culture that we want to see. Lou, anything you'd like to add?
Just great, grateful that all of you are interested in doing that work and in helping to build a culture of empathy. So thank you for being here and learning with us about how to do that.
Great. In the next, we'll kind of do a little bit of a introduction, real quick, about 30 seconds. But we want to know how the empathy buddy call went. I know that some of you is a very short time span to do it, so not all of you may have been able to arrange that empathy buddy call, especially with time differences and things like that. We understand it, and that we hope if you couldn't get it done this time, that you can get it done. The next one will be our Monday, and then Australia's Tuesday, and then Europe's Monday night. So you have some more time to do that. And that's it. Just try your best. Okay, I'm going to start to call on people, and they can do the introductions. Well, you can, address those questions. How's the empathy buddy call? Anything that came up from you? Real short. Okay, Sue, we'll start with you.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, everybody. It's Sue here. Where Rita and I didn't have the buddy call, unfortunately, it was a bit of miscommunication because I'm on leave, annual leave this week, and there's an out of office on my email. Of course, like most of us, I don't, I attend to my emails, but Rita thought that maybe I wasn't going to make contact. So we didn't do it, but we'll definitely do it next time. Looking forward to it.
Great. Okay. Diane?
We had a wonderful call and a nice chat after our allotted time. It was very supportive for each of us, I think, or at least in my view. And I made a new friend.
Great, great. Jennifer?
Yeah, Gwen and I were able to connect, which was great. We actually kind of reintroduced ourselves to each other and talked a little bit about our backgrounds and kind of why we're involved in this, as opposed to doing it in a large environment, which I think kind of helped build a little bit of rapport and familiarity before we kind of dove into it. And I think we went for, I don't know, I thought it started around 6, I think, and we're done till 7. So we spent quite a bit of time together, but I enjoyed it immensely. And I think it helped assuage some of the anxiety about today's role as facilitators. We were able to work through some of that. So that was really great.
Great. Okay. Olivia.
Hi, everyone. My apologies. Alex and I are going to be doing this tomorrow, we hope, but we weren't able to.
Okay, no problem. Sergio.
I met with David. It was very enjoyable and enriching. I felt very well. We met Monday. Nice seeing you, David, again.
Great. Rita?
Yeah, as Sue said, we missed our chance, but I actually did facilitate an empathy cafe last night with a local XR group instead. So, yeah, and then kind of passing on these perspectives of sharing buddy calls or small groups and stuff like that with them too. So that's cool.
Thanks, Rita. Uli.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't make it. I was supposed to meet with Alexandra from Boston, but she's not here.
Okay. All right. Victoria.
I with my buddy Diane. I think Ilaric, she did not mute. There she goes. So thank you.
Yeah, sure.
So it was a pleasure. We met, I think there was probably 30 minutes still left in the debate, and I was just happy to get out of it. have a reason to get, oh my. So it was a wonderful conversation. We talked about a number of things about the empathy circle and facilitating, and then an opportunity just to chat afterwards. So it was really nice. Thank you, Diane.
Great, thank you. Michelle?
It was cool. So the empathy buddy call yesterday and really supportive. And yeah, really worthwhile. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Okay, and let's see, Gwen?
Yeah, so as Jennifer already said, we were able to connect yesterday as well. And yeah, it was really great to just introduce ourselves again and get to know each other a little bit before diving into the empathy practice we did. It was actually funny because I expected that I wouldn't be able to fill my 15 minutes of talking, but then once I got going and I got reflected on, it was really easy to build on that. And I think we, yeah, like a lot of things that both of us shared resonated with each other. So it's good to get that support and share some of our doubts and insecurities about doing the training. So it's great.
Okay, and AC? Are you there, AC? Alex? Okay, he might be away for a little bit.
Hey,
oh, there
sorry.
you go.
Yeah, technical difficulties. Sorry,
sure.
I'm just finishing up a late lunch.
Okay.
As Olivia mentioned, we weren't able to connect in the meantime, but hoping to tomorrow for sure.
Great. Okay. That's fine. All right. So the
there's also us, I think.
Oh, right.
Dave,
we're going to do it. Okay.
Maybe we could each check in.
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry. I forgot that. Sure. Go ahead, Edwin.
Oh, yeah. I had just a call with Dave, so we could sort of checked in about organizational stuff. We didn't do empathic listening, but I know for myself that there's always anxiety about taking a workshop and just kind of being heard, even as a facilitator. I think I heard it mentioned a couple times here. Just to be able to share that, know that it's out there, have it be heard, and not have it be running around inside my head really always helps me. So yeah, that's
great.
me.
Thank you. Lou?
I didn't have an empathy buddy call, and my wife and I listen to each other a lot. But what I'm moved to say actually is that a couple of times in the last week, I got so angry about not being heard that I really kind of exploded and yelled about it, which I rarely do. It shows me that I'm just really on edge and there are things that are not working. And fortunately, my wife was able to listen to that fury, and just say, I really hear how angry you are. And that was a great gift, rather than her being frightened by it or arguing with me about it or something like that. So that's what I'll share.
Great. Thanks, Lou. Dave? David. You're muted, David.
Yeah, Sergio and I had a really nice hangout, listening to each other and getting to know each other a little bit. It was really nice. And I guess it's also special. I think it's so special that you're all here from all over the place. Great.
Yeah, and I had a great talk with Michelle, and I found it very, it allows me to really try to be a little bit more transparent about what we're trying to do and convey in the class. And then I learned from Michelle a bit about what her experience is. So I find it's very useful for designing the class, getting feedback, and trying to make it more effective. So thank you all. I guess I'll go into a brief discussion of what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be into breakout rooms. And so we're going to go into the breakout rooms and we're going to practice the how-to description. You'll do that. There'll be some time for a little bit of feedback, and then each participant after the how-to will facilitate an empathy circle. The facilitator picks the topic, and then also I think we're going to be using about 5 minutes, but that might vary depending, 4 minutes, Edwin is saying. Depending upon time constraints. So once that happens, if there We'll see how much time we have in the circle. We'll try to utilize that to get as much practice as possible. Edwin, Lou, or David, anything else that I left out that you?
I just say that the goal is for you each to get at least about a 20-minute practice at facilitating. Hopefully, we'll have enough time for that. Yeah, and in the intros, about 5 minutes to do an intro, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Edwin, David, anything else? No? If not, then I guess we're ready to go into the breakout rooms.
Okay, there'll be 4 breakout rooms, and there's one person didn't come, Alexandra, I guess. So Dave, you'll be in one with just 3 participants. Yeah. So we're heading, and then how much time do we have then? It's a break through the time breakout. There's 25 minutes per person.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Well,
or a little bit more.
Well, we're going to have, what do we have? We have 45 minutes till 5 and another hour and a half. So we have, let's see, 1 hour and 45 minutes, I believe, till we get to 6 o'clock and then we come back. So we split that up with either 3, or 2.
Okay, great. Then here we go into the rooms.
Bye.
See you shortly. Okay, welcome. So we have, we're going to be doing is you'll be giving a 5-minute presentation of, how the Empathy Circle works. It's however long it takes you to give the presentation. And then you'll set the time, which I think about 4 minutes since it's a shorter time that we have. And then you set the topic. So you can think about whatever topic is of interest to you to talk about. And you also do the timekeeping. So you'll want to check on having some kind of a clock. And I'll keep the overall time of 25 minutes and let you know. And you might want to create a little time slot or something. Or you can also hold up your watch if you're using a watch. People sometimes hold up, you have a little timer. So you might want to set that up. Yeah, you have a question, Diane?
Yeah, so we're doing 5 minutes to practice introduction of the process.
I was actually wrong about it. It's just however long, introduce the process and then we do the process. Yeah, so you'll just present how to do the empathy circle. Is if we don't know, the other people don't know how to do an empathy circle. So it's whatever, how long it takes you to introduce it.
Okay, and then we introduce a topic and we ask who wants to be a speaker. Okay.
Exactly, yeah. So you're facilitating a little mini, 25-minute empathy circle, basically. And let me bring up the stopwatch here. Let me set 25 minutes. And then after we do the 25 minutes, we'll have a few minutes of sort of feedback, and then we'll move on to the next person. And so whoever feels ready to, energetic and excited, jump in and, begin. So just introduce how the empathy circle works to the best of your ability, and then we'll just set the topic and set the time, and then we'll start. Yeah.
I'll go first.
Okay, go for it.
So welcome everyone. I'm so glad that you could join us. So empathy circles are an opportunity in a structured environment to be able to develop empathy skills, sometimes through active listening or reflective listening. And this is really good for our overall well-being, both individually and collectively. The way the structure of the circles work is that there's 4 roles. There's a speaker, an active listener, there are silent listeners, and a facilitator. And so as a facilitator today, I'm going to give us a jump start, kind of explain how the structure works, and invite everyone to indicate their understanding or agreement to hold the structure and to follow the guidelines we've set so that we can all have the same mindset of how this container is going to work and feel safe in sharing. So we have the 4 roles: speaker, active listener, silent listener, and facilitator. So the way this works is someone will be the speaker, and they will have approximately 5 minutes to share whatever's alive for them, possibly surrounding the topic I might share in a minute, or whatever's alive for each person. Before you start speaking as a speaker, you'll pick someone to be your active listener, anyone in the group. The active listener will devote their attention to whoever's speaking, to the speaker, and at different intervals, which is kind of a dual role of both the speaker and the active listener, to kind of find pauses with each other so that the listener can reflect back. And the listener, active listener, will reflect back, paraphrase what you hear the other person say as close as possible, using your own words, and do it without judgment, without your own feelings, or without advice. We're here to reflect back and not to give advice. When speaker A has reached their 5 minutes, I'll hold up a timer. Maybe at 30 seconds, I'll hold up my finger, and then when it's time, I'll hold up my phone to show you that it's time. And each time that you have a reflection back to you, it's really a good idea to kind of let the reflector know that if you feel complete or if you feel heard, because the goal for the circle and for each of us to share time is to feel heard and seen at the end of our time. When speaker A is finished, the first active listener will then become the speaker and pick someone to then become their active listener, and the process will repeat. Active listeners silent listeners are encouraged to pay attention and be involved and kind of share what's in their own mind, what's going on, what's alive for you, because sometimes that's where you might jump off when it's your turn to speak. Something gets triggered or interesting for you. And then the process will just continue. We want to try and make sure everyone gets a fairly equal amount of time to speak and listen. So if you have a chance to call on someone that hasn't been a speaker or a listener before, that's a great way for all of us to keep the circle going and to ensure that we all get some quality time. Are there any questions? Great. I see yeses all around. That's awesome. So I would like to propose that we talk about, at least as a jumping off point, accountability. Like, what does accountability mean for you? Personal or global or group accountability, and what that brings up for you. So do I have any volunteers to be the first speaker?
And how much time do we have to speak?
You have 5 minutes, 4 minutes each to speak, and I'll give you a 30-second warning and a 1 minute and a final time for each round. And when you see the timer, the final timer, wind up that thought, and if you're feeling heard, let us know. And if you need an additional, because something's really alive for you, hopefully we can make some time to kind of sneak that in. So back to my question, any volunteers to go first?
I'll go.
All right.
I'll speak to Michelle. I think I just beat her to the punch. So I beat you to the punch. I think you're just about to lean in.
All right.
To start speaking. So
let me set my timer really quick.
Okay.
One
so
second.
yeah, this is kind of a interesting topic. You know, I hear of accountability, and it's not a word that I use a lot, so I don't have a whole set of thoughts, about accountability. You hear, yeah, I'll pause there.
So this is an interesting topic for you, and yeah, you're just gathering your thoughts. You don't, not a whole lot of them burning, but you're just bringing them together.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about accountability now with the police here in the United States. That the police should be held accountable. It's all part of the sort of Black Lives Matter demonstrations, that there's a lack of accountability. So that's sort of where I hear the term, as well as, we want to hold politicians accountable. So those are kind of two areas that I hear of accountability. Yeah.
So where you hear accountability at the moment is a lot is in the Black Lives Matter movement, and particularly in the context of the police.
Yeah, and politicians that we got to hold politicians' feet to the fire. We got to hold them accountable. If they don't do what they say they're going to do, they got to do something. I don't know what you can really do. Maybe vote them out of office. So, yeah. So those are the two areas. But if I think about accountability, it might be maybe we need an accountability that everyone is accountable to do empathy circles, right? It's like Trump and Biden are accountable. They should be having an empathy circle dialogue instead of this debate that they had. And we should be maybe holding the society instead of it's all the police's fault. It's really the society's fault. It's not supporting these values. So yeah, so that's just some thoughts.
Yeah, so it's really like it's the police, but also definitely the politicians, and yeah, it brings you round to the thinking about, well, actually maybe if we held everybody accountable for empathy,
mm-hmm.
and instead of putting other people like the authorities on hook, maybe if we collectively put ourselves on hook.
I feel very heard. Thank you. Yeah, it was great.
Nice.
You want any more time, Edwin? You're good? Okay.
I feel fully heard. Yeah.
All right, Michelle.
Ulrike, could you listen to me if you don't mind?
Yes, I'm listening.
Yeah, I really like this topic, and I love the introduction that Diane gave to empathy circles, and also Edwin's take on this idea of collectively holding yourselves accountable for the lack of empathy in the world today. I'll pause there.
Mm-hmm. So you are acknowledging the introduction of Diane, and that you think it's an interesting topic, and what called your attention from Edwin's saying was about to be everyone, yeah, or the politicians also be accountable to keep empathy.
Yeah, I think the line seems to be a little bit interrupted at the moment, but nice, yeah. But I feel heard, and yeah, it's probably the thing that's coming to mind the most at the moment is around the movement with the environment, and how there's a stagnation, or it's hard. There's no not the same response that the world would like with the same urgency, and it's not shared, a lack of accountability from a particular country or a particular authority. And I really like the way that XR have taken this, and they're stepping up, and it's really interesting then to see, well, do we have the same crisis? Have we the same crisis as we have for the environment? Have we that same crisis of our shared humanity? And the disconnection from the heart and from each other. And are we each accountable for that? I'll pause there.
So what comes to your mind thinking about accountability is the environmental problem that we have, especially the climate crisis that Extinction Rebellion is addressing. And yeah, what seems interesting for you is this a parallel between the crisis of accountability in the environmental issue and in the human issue, our shared humanity.
Yeah, I feel really heard. Yeah, that's exactly it. And bringing that right home to personal accountability. And that the way out of these crises really is this new wave of collective collective responsibility and collective accountability. Yeah, proposed there.
Yeah, so you are you were talking about bring it back to the individual level, yeah, and the relation between individual level and collective level regarding to this topic, accountability.
Yeah, definitely.
You're on a as a note, you're on a cell phone, so you're not seeing when Diane is holding up, probably. So just a note, Diane, you may want to make a note. A sound, so she can.
Yeah. Okay.
We're on time, are we?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Apologies.
And I couldn't get you to look at me when I was holding up my 30-second finger.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay. So yeah, I'll wrap up there. Thank you. Cool. Nice. Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel complete?
I feel complete. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah, and I feel heard. Thank you for your thanks.
Thank you. Diane, would you listen to me, please?
I will definitely try my very best. I'm getting a little scratchy, but I'll do my very best. Michelle, would you keep time? Or can you? Thank you.
Yes, gladly.
So Michelle is listening to me. Sorry, I didn't get that.
No, I'm listening to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So first, I apologize for my technical problems. Yesterday, I just had a insight how I could solve that, and I have to call someone in to fix that in my computer. So I apologize for that. And I also want to say that I'm not a native English speaker. In general, I speak more German and Portuguese. When I read instruction or something like that, I have no difficulty, but in a conversation, there might come up some word I do not know so well. So accountability for me is a word I do not use so much. I think a more old-fashioned word for it would be responsibility. Pause there.
Thank you. So you shared that you had some concerns regarding your technical situation, and you're going to make some plans to fix that. And that accountability is not a word that you use very often. And you look at it like the word responsibility.
Yes. Yes, the first thing that came to my mind when Edwin was talking about this topic in relation to politicians, the first thing that came to my mind was the situation in Iceland some 10 years ago when they had a big political crisis, and they really managed to put some politicians into jail because they were responsible for it. Yeah. for the breakdown of the economy and what happened then in Iceland.
So may I reflect back to you?
Yes, please.
Okay. So you had some thoughts when Edwin mentioned accountability with politicians, that it really brought to mind for you a situation some 10 years ago in Iceland, where the politicians caused some serious economic crisis and they were held responsible.
Yes, but of course then what should they do when they are locked up in jail? Yeah, they could have a real good empathy course, or that would be great if they could do that.
So
yeah, I pause there.
You're wondering what they could do in jail. Maybe it would be a really good idea to make the politicians in jail participate and learn how to do empathy circles.
Yes. Yeah. That's what what came to my mind until now. So I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Michelle, will you listen to me? I have Edwin frozen on my screen. I don't know if he's can hear us or not.
I hear you. I'm just dealing with
I think
technical stuff. It's Alexandra is having problems entering, so I'm just dealing. I might leave this shortly and then come back.
Okay. All right. So I'll begin. So I think for me, accountability starts with me and my experience with how do I hold myself accountable? And that has to look from my inside, like I have to believe in what I'm doing and I have to trust that I can do it. And I have to measure myself by the standard I set for myself. And I'll pause there.
So you feel that accountability starts with you and you have to measure yourself and hold yourself accountable.
Yeah, I think there's other values, core values that come along with accountability for me. And some of that is going to be honesty, flexibility, empathy for myself and for others. And I'll stop there.
Yeah, for you, it ties really closely into the core values, like especially when you look at honesty, flexibility, and empathy.
Yeah, so yeah, I think before I can really address or make past judgment on someone else's accountability or my notion of their accountability, I have to
Yes.
So I think the ball's in one of your courts.
Yeah, Ulrich, would you, Ulrich, do you mind listening to me?
Yes.
No, I think it's time to switch.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, we may as well
And to go to the
switch.
next.
Okay, cool.
We have 3 minutes left. We could use that to debrief. You know, how was that circle? Any sort of I could just mention there's what adds sort of a level of stress is technical difficulty. So with the audio, you know, that kind of makes it a little bit more challenging. I'm also, Alexandra came late and I just can't get her to join a room. She comes in and it's like, I send her to a room. So there's all that technical issues. So the technical, you know, in Zoom and stuff adds sort of a layer of difficulty and distraction. So yeah, so maybe we can just go around. Do you want to just share how was that for you, Diane?
It was nice to get like the first practice under my belt and like get that out of the way and sort of relax into it. I felt everyone was very responsive and really held the circle and the goals of the circle together with each other. So I appreciate that.
Michelle, any feedback?
Yeah, I was grateful, Diane, to went first. Thank you. Yeah, I thought it was very. Oh, sorry, it was my time in the last one. Apologies. And yeah, I thought it was really, really good. I found that I almost forgot that this was a practice run. Like we were gone back into an empathy circle. So it was, yeah, it was really professional. It was great. I'm really clear.
Ulrika, any feedback for Diane or about the circle?
Yeah, I think it was a wonderful introduction, very dynamic, and wow. Yeah, I like she seems to have practiced before for it, or maybe it's because I'm not so fluent in English. Yeah, I liked it very much. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I have one quick question. Do we have time for one quick question?
Yeah, quite sure.
When Michelle was speaking, and I was feeling like there was a long time going on between a pause. Would a facilitator ever say, do you want to pause there so Ulrich can reflect back to you? Like,
yeah, sometimes I hold this up, remember to pause, or I'll interject, say, oh, remember to pause if you, yeah, so that it's sort of feeling into it, you know, you have to know how well the person is a listener, kind of what their experience is. Yeah, so it's a real art there, but I guess you got to trust your guts because you kind of had some concern and you got to trust that concern. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great. And I also had it seemed very clear. I just love hearing all the different instructions because everyone does it different and they bring something unique to it. So it just seemed very clear to me too.
Nice,
so.
Thank you. Your videos really helped.
Oh, yeah, great. Glad that helps. So who would like to go next, Michelle or Ulrika? You get 25 minutes.
Ulrika, would you like me to go or would you like to go or?
I would like you to go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, gladly. Okay. Okay. So welcome to the Empathy Circle, and the empathy circles are really like they're experiential. So you're going to pick this up as you go along. But I'll give you an introduction now to it, and it's pretty straightforward. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me about it. So they're a listening circle with 4 to 5 people. There's four roles where there's a person speaking. The person that's speaking is going to choose somebody to be the active listener for them. And the other participants will be silent listeners. So the active listener is simply going to reflect back to the person what they've heard them say, not with any judgment or any feedback or advice or anything like that. Just reflect back what you've heard them say, and then you can invite the speaker and say, like, do you feel heard? And the speaker, to make this easy, you'll have about 4 to 5 minutes to speak. And I'd recommend is if you can chunk it up into about like 30 seconds or a minute, that you know when you speak, it gives a chance for the person reflecting to be able to just take that amount and be able to reflect it back to you. The silent listeners, you're going to simply be still and be silent. And then there's tips for the speaker. So if you remember to pause when you're done talking, you feel heard, you can say if you feel fully heard. We're going to, we'll go straight into a circle. I think one of the easiest ways really to really experience the power and the magic of empathy circles really is in the doing of it. And we've 6 values just to keep in the back of your mind, and they're really around being including everybody. So making sure that everybody in the group is included, that you're open as you can be, to share your perspective with others, that we're honest about what's your thoughts and feelings on a topic. There's mutuality, that each person in the group gets a chance to feel heard. Each of the values as the circles go on, we'll bring them in. But it's really about keeping this kind of sense of respect, so that everybody in the group can feel fully heard. The topic that I'd like to introduce for today's circle is going to be on shared humanity. And really what that means for you. So I'm going to have a timer. It's going to have this on it, 5 minutes to speak. And I might, if I notice him, 5, yeah.
Four, just since it's a very short time.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks, yeah, so you'll have 4 minutes to speak. And I may pause you in between and make small corrections if it's necessary. But let's try get one underway and see if we can pick it up as we go along. Would anybody like to be the first speaker?
I will.
I said that's Diane.
Yeah. So you said shared humanity?
Yeah, shared humanity and what that means for you. Yeah. Is that clear enough for everybody? Or yeah.
So you have am I ready to go? Timer.
Please do. Yeah, please.
Edwin, would you listen to me?
Yep, listening.
Okay. So for me, when I hear or think about shared humanity, I kind of come back to accountability. Like it's kind of like the underpinning of shared humanity. It's like with the masks. If that's what the collective wisdom is to wear masks, it's a simple accountability, a simple thing to be accountable for, at least for adults. And when I see people that don't wear them, that puts a hole in the collective humanness of it all, and causes a breach, it causes a lack of trust. And that bridge of trust for me is what builds shared humanity. And I'll pause there.
Yes, I'm hearing that when you hear the term shared humanity, it comes back to the term accountability, which you talked about earlier. And that it's about like if people are wearing masks, that everybody wears masks and you have sort of a sense of trust in each other. And that sort of relates with a feeling of shared humanity and accountability. Did I get that?
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely part of it. And I think the other part is kindness, like kind of a collective kindness that needs to be fostered and passed around, and just a pausing to kind of accept people, most people, that they're doing their best at any given time, and that's their humanness. I'll pause there.
Yeah, so it's really about kindness and seeing the kindness and the humanity of everyone, and seeing the individual humanity.
Yeah. I think I feel complete.
Okay.
Heard.
Feel heard. I'll speak to Ulrika. What comes up?
Listening.
Yeah, what comes up for me is the term common humanity. So shared humanity, common humanity, and I've seen that as one of the values of a culture of empathy, that we see that underneath, our surface, that we really have this commonness, this sameness, and I think that's maybe what I would connect it with, shared humanity.
Mhm. So what comes to your mind is that shared humanity or common humanity, what we all have in common as humans is a shared, is a value of the culture of empathy.
Yeah, and it's there is this, I've seen that as a foundation, because it means that we all have the same feelings, and concerns and worries. We're sort of wired so that this commonness, and that means that even if there's all these differences, if we can listen to each other long enough and deep enough, that we'll come to that common humanity. And I think it's like core to what we're doing in the empathy circle, and in mediation, that if we just listen to each other, dialogue enough with each other, we'll kind of understand each other.
Mm-hmm. So through listening to each other deeply, we can get to this common ground, yeah, the feelings that we all share.
Yeah, and I feel fully heard.
Right?
Yes, that's it. I feel fully heard. I'm also still trying to deal with Alexandra. It's very frustrating. It's like she comes in, I just can't get her into a room. I don't understand it. It's like, that's a lesson. Don't come late. It's very frustrating. If you just reflect that back, I have some of my frustration kind of shared here.
Yeah. Okay. So you're still busy with these technical problems, all in the background. Yeah. And that's a lesson for us not to come late.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Edwin. Yeah. Michelle, would you like to listen to me?
Yeah, gladly, gladly.
So, yeah, at first I thought, well, what's that? What can I say to this topic? But then it came as like a flash to my
Alexandra, you there? Wow, this has been really frustrating. So I can't let you in unless I go, I guess, back into the main room and then admit you. I kept adding you to rooms. It just wouldn't work. And
I suspected as much.
yeah, I haven't had experience with this. So I'm going to try to get you. Yeah, I'm going to see if I
I'm
can
so
get.
sorry for being late. I just had
Yeah,
a really crazy day.
Yeah, it was quite, it's very distracting because
I'm so sorry.
I've been in and out of all these
I
rooms.
had
And,
a family therapy session after work and everything went late and it just was a crazy.
yeah, so I don't know, I've added you to Breakout Room 4, so I don't understand. It's like, you might have to, if you can leave and just come back again, and I'll try to admit you, just close and come right back.
Yep.
Might, it's just Zoom is really weird about this.
I have a join breakout room button. I can click
Oh,
on
you
that.
do join. Okay, great. If you join
All right,
that.
well, you've been assigned join. I'm going to do
You
that
should
now.
be in 4. Yeah, Breakout Room 4. Okay, great. Try it. Let's see if we can get it working. So, oh,
example, kindness makes us feel safe. Yeah. And yeah, and when we feel some negative feedback, yeah, that's kind of takes away our freedom. Yeah. Let's pause there.
So for you, really, the real foundations of this are freedom and safety. And if they're under threat in any way, then that can affect our sense of like shared, our common humanity. Do you feel heard?
Yes. Yes. Is my time over?
No,
I'm
you've
sorry,
about
I was
30
just so
seconds. No, you've
concentrating.
30 seconds. But if you feel, if you
Okay.
can, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I like this topic, so somehow I I would like to think more and develop more about it, but I think it's good to stop here. Thank you.
Nice. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Go ahead.
Great. Diane, could you reflect me if that's okay?
With pleasure.
Thank you. I really, really like these foundations that Ulrika suggested here of like freedom and safety. Yeah. And it brings to mind that maybe like when the times that people are pulled away the most from their humanity is when there's a sense of scarcity maybe in the world. The scarcity of resources maybe is what has fractured or can sometimes tear apart that sense of both there.
So you really liked some of the foundations that Ulrika talked about, with freedom and safety. And it has you pondering that people can be really pulled apart when there's feeling of scarcity or threat.
Yeah, I feel heard. Yeah. So it kind of, the kind of a lot of the kind of mindless consumption, I think, in the world, and conflicts in regions, and war and violence, is, I think, that this kind of rise of individualism and people, I'll pause there. Yeah.
So you talked about just the rise of individualism as being something that comes out of mindless consumption and the effect it's having. I'm not sure I got that right exactly. But.
Yeah. I'm kind of, I don't really, I'm not, it's kind of just letting things come out a little bit, so I'm not being very structured. So there's a couple of different ways my mind is drawn, and one is around, like, in the world today, there is, like, you know, there's enough for everybody's need, but not enough for everyone's greed. And there's a lot of, like, kind of hoarding going on, and especially this pandemic is making me feel it's bringing into my awareness that needs to loosen, that to go back to this kind of global village that takes care of itself. I suppose there.
So I'm going to apologize. I had a little trouble following your train of thought. And I know you said that you recognized that your mind was going in two directions. So I would really appreciate if you could elaborate a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, the opposite of common humanity is individualism. I'll pause there.
So for you, the opposite of common humanity is individualism.
Yeah. And when individuals try to hoard as much as they can or acquire as much as they can just for themselves, I'll pause there. Actually, I'll wrap up there because that was the timer. Yeah.
So when individuals hoard too much, it causes. Then the timer went off, and I don't know.
I guess it was. Yeah, it's really around. The pandemic has brought home to me this need again for, you know, to go back to a global village, where all worlds, like, you know, are sharing and making sure that, yeah. So yeah, it's just, yeah.
So the pandemic has really brought home to you the need to really go back to a global village and a global sharing of responsibility, just global sharing.
Yeah. I feel heard. Yeah, thank you.
So we have time for one more sharing, Diane.
Okay, so what arises for me right now is in the sense of common humanity is wanting to do it right, not always getting it right, and feeling a little bit like I let Michelle down because I didn't. No, I know I'm saying that's what I'm feeling.
A note here about the facilitator. At this point, you should be saying, Diane, who are you speaking to? Just a note there.
Yeah, sorry, Diane, who are you speaking to?
Ulrich, I'm speaking to you.
Yes, great.
So yeah, I was noticing my common
Listening,
humanity.
Diane.
I was noticing my common humanity and the desire to want to do it right and feeling like I sort of let Michelle down. I'll pause there.
Okay, so you, yeah, uh, you see the common humanity in the wish to do it right, yeah, and you're feeling a bit, you're not feeling so good about not having attended so well to Michelle in
Yeah.
listening to her.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I also have a lot of compassion for myself that I did my best. And that's all I could do at the moment. I'll pause there.
Yeah, yeah, so all we can do, you're saying that all we can do is to try to do our best with goodwill, and then for our shortcomings have some empathy with ourselves.
Yeah. I think I feel heard. I'll stop there.
Okay, then we have
Okay.
3.5 minutes left, so we could just sort of debrief the facilitation. So any comments about it? That I would just say, as a facilitator, that was your job, was to make sure. It's almost the first thing is, who are you speaking to? People often forget that. So it's like, that remember who are you select who you're speaking to. So that was the only thought I had about that came up for me.
Yeah, I was grateful for the reminder. Thanks. Yeah.
How was it for you? What else came up for you as facilitator?
I was nervous, definitely. It was my first circle to facilitate. I realized I need to learn off that script. I'm interested to hear if people felt that they could follow the instructions. I might try and watch the recording back afterwards to see how that came across as well. But I'm interested to see people's feedback if it was clear enough. Yeah, I'm sorry to Diane if I was rambling in my share. I'm actually quite happy to be honest with the facilitation. I felt it went. I felt it went reasonably well for like a first attempt. I was really grateful for everyone's participation. Oh, yeah. Yeah, thanks.
You want to call on the others to see how it was for them?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. Thanks, Ulrika. And Diane, did you have some feedback?
Sure. No, I think overall it went pretty smoothly. It's a common humanity symbol or symptom to be nervous. And so definitely had that space for you to share. I think you covered most everything. I like that you said that it was experiential and we're just going to kind of jump in and learn as we go. And you gave the basic structure. I think one thing that you said, it just caught my attention, is that you said to the silent speakers, just be still and silent. So that was like, oh, well, I don't need to be here. So let's kind of like maybe be a little more inclusive, giving them something to do. Listen and whatever works for you, using your own words. That's the only thing that I think really stuck out to me. But otherwise, you forgot to ask me who I was speaking to.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh, how many times we're all going to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like your topic.
Cool. Nice. Ulrika, do you have? Yes, please.
Are
Yes,
you
please.
finished, Diane?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. First, I when Michelle was speaking, when it was her last turn, I could so much see, I felt with her this, like, you're exploring, yeah, it's not, that's what I felt from when you were speaking the last time, yeah, Michelle. And yeah, and I think I had that 2 days ago in our empathy circle. Yeah, just trying to elaborate something from what was happening. Yeah, I liked that very much what Edwin said last time about there's a landscape coming up that you do not know still. Yeah, and where are you going? You look here and there. Yeah, so and for me it was so, I think when this comes up for me as a it comes up for me as a when I'm also the facilitator of the empathy circle, yeah. So for me it was totally comprehensible that she forgot to ask Diane, yeah, that you forgot to ask her, yeah. So yeah, and yeah. Yes, I also noted some other things that Diane already mentioned, so I won't say that again. But yeah, I enjoyed very much doing this with you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Michelle, do you feel complete? And we'll move on to
Yeah,
Ulrika.
I feel complete, and I'm really grateful
Okay.
for that feedback. It's really good. Thanks to everybody.
Yeah, great topic too. Love the topics that come up. So, okay, Ulrika, do you want to, you got 25 minutes and you're facilitating.
Yes. So welcome everybody to our meeting today, to the Empathy Circle. If my audio is breaking up, please give me a sign so I can switch off my camera, and hopefully you can hear me better then. Yeah, first I'll do a short introduction, and the Empathy Circle. First, we do some technical instruction, how it works, and then some general remarks about about the attitude with which we should go into the circle. So there are today we are 4, and that's a very good number for the empathy circle. There could be 3 to 5 participants, ideally, and the roles are, of course, the one is sharing, it's the speaker, and the one who is active listening, and then the silent listener. And and the 4th role, of course, is the facilitator, who will do the introduction or keep an eye on the basic structure. Yeah? So the speaker has some 4 minutes to speak about whatever is alive in him or her, and or on a topic. And when speaking, you should pause so that your active listener can reflect back to you what you were expressing. So it's the the speaker, he will choose the active listener and then speak about the topic, and the active listener is then when the speaker pauses, he will reflect back without any judging or analyzing or giving advice, just active listening. Mhm. And then we have in each round we have also 2 silent listeners, and they should just listen silently and try to follow the conversation with attention, because it will soon be their turn to speak, and you could relate to something that the others were expressing. Yeah. And when the speaker, when the time is over, or some 30 minutes before the time is over, I will hold up the time advice, yeah, so you can wrap up your ideas. Yeah. And then the speaker will choose another listener, and it begins again. And so this is the general structure, and the attitude that we should try to hold when doing the circle is not to judge what we hear, and attention, and it's an experience, be fully present to the experience. So the topic for today, I suggest, I would like, it came up for me, this antagonism of the need of safety and the need of freedom, human need of safety and human need of freedom. If we could elaborate a bit more about that, that would be great. Any questions about the structure? Or okay, so
a technical question.
Anybody would like to? Yes.
I have a technical question. Question.
Please.
Do you have a fan on?
Yes, because it's very hot here.
Oh, okay.
About still above 30 degrees. Yeah.
I just noticed if I have a fan on, it's hard, that interferes, but I can hear you just fine right now. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry for that.
Well, I just set the time. How much time do we have?
Yeah. Just a moment, opening my timer here. Yes. Anybody wants to start? To be the first speaker.
How long do we have to speak?
4 minutes.
4 minutes, okay. I'll start. I'll speak to Michelle then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this kind of ties in. I heard the safety, and I forgot what the other one was now. It just slipped my mind. But it kind of tied in with, maybe Ulrika, if you could, freedom, okay. And if you could mute, because there's a sort of a whining sound when your audio, so it's a little just, it's so much, thanks. So, freedom, but it kind of, the safety kind of tied in with the topic you had about, common humanity. And as I was looking in, or, it wasn't quite common humanity, but it was about that commonness or that connection. And it's something that was kind of burning with me, is that it seemed to what blocks that is fear, right? And it's like fear and safety are kind of, you know, feeling safe and feeling afraid seems to be at the core, you know. So I was just chomping at the bits to talk about that fear.
So yeah, so what came up really strongly for you was like the topic that just went earlier there around, around our common humanity, and that on safety, like maybe it's like this, fear really that can block it.
Yeah, and it's like fear seems to, it's like when we're afraid, it's like, you know, which means we're not feeling safe, right? There's something, and it's almost biological that, you know, that I kind of just start thinking about myself. It's kind of like if you're drowning, right? And you panic, it's like all about me. Who cares about anybody else? I'll drown you if I have to, you know, save myself. And that sort of ties in with that, you know, we don't see our common humanity. We don't feel safe. You know, become individual. I remember you used the term individuality. We think about our individuality. So it seems that that quality of fear is sort of at the core of you know, what blocks, you know, a lot of the stuff that you're talking about. And yeah, and then I'm thinking, how does freedom tie into that?
Yeah, cool. So for you, it's really like the fear, like when, like if somebody's drowning and they're like, yeah, like they're like, you know, suddenly panicking, and then like that's when they like drop this sense of common humanity, and and then it's kind of bringing your train of thought onto the next topic, which is like, how does that tie into freedom then?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. It's like, I think when we feel, you know, we feel that we can, like in the empathy circle, you can say, you know, I always say, you can say whatever you want, right? It's like when you're listening, you just listen to the other person, fully hear them. But when it's your turn to speak, you can judge, you can, you know, you can criticize, you can, you know, say wonderful things. You're free to say whatever you want. Yeah, that's total freedom. You have total freedom in terms of the emotions you want to share, and how you want to say it, and what you say. So yeah, so maybe that's how the freedom ties in with what we're doing here.
And so what came up for you then was on freedom is like, yeah, is that that when it's your turn to speak, you have complete freedom. Like, you know, the things around like judgment or like all these things, they get dropped, and it's like you can say whatever you want.
I feel fully heard. Yeah. I felt free to say what I wanted.
Nice. Yeah, cool, nice. Diane, do you mind? Would you listen to me? Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Just yeah, it's actually, it's more, yeah. I really like what everyone brought up there around fear, because I think when I had been sharing on this topic earlier, I'd kind of went off track a little bit when I had been speaking to you earlier, and I had started talking about scarcity. You know, like that I felt that like scarcity was the problem. That if all humans had this sense of, we live on an abundant planet where there's enough for everybody, then they would, you know, that like with this abundance mindset, even where there's extreme poverty, but just knowing that that's the mindset that is needed, that the grasping, you know, that you know, the narrowing of sorry, I haven't been as clear for you this time again. what I realized is that, you know, where I was talking about scarcity, actually what was underneath that is what Edwin's pointing to, is this fear. Yeah, is that if our safety, our life's threatened, fear, then maybe the heart constricts. I'll pause there.
So you resonated a lot with what Edwin said,
Mm-hmm.
and you appreciate the role of fear in people feeling scarcity or constriction.
That's right. Yeah, I feel heard. Yeah, I really like what happened in Ireland over the last 8 months. Our leader is a medical doctor in his past, and when the pandemic started, immediately he responded with, we need to put we need to put people first. So he put people before the economy. I'll pause there.
So you really like what's happened in Ireland in the last 8 months. Your leader is also a medical doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and he made it very clear that people come first.
Exactly. So the country locked down really rapidly, and very quickly moved to identifying all of the vulnerable groups and making sure that all sectors of our society, that there was a plan in place for their pause there.
There was a what?
That there was a plan in place for their care.
Plan.
I'll pause there.
So the whole country under his leadership pulled together for a quick lockdown and took steps to really protect vulnerable communities and to pull together.
Yeah, that's it. Bugger, it's time. Okay, thank you. Okay, I feel fully heard. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
So freedom and safety.
And Diane,
Is that on purpose?
who are you talking to?
I'll speak to Edwin. So, thank you. Yeah, so definitely freedom and safety are sort of like the opposite sides of a coin in a way. To feel free, to have freedom or have a sense of freedom, either individually or collectively, there has to be an underlying safety. Or I'm not sure if, sometimes I see people in COVID, during COVID, acting freely, but I think it's out of fear.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that you're seeing that freedom and safety are two sides of the coin, and that it sounded like you weren't quite sure, but it seemed like if you had to have freedom, you had to have safety, you had to feel safe. But then you're seeing that people who want this freedom, in about the mask wearing, are not maybe doing that. They're actually maybe doing it out of fear, not really out of safety.
I think what I was trying to say is that I see people like, I'm going to travel. I'm going to go to Disney World. That's a freedom that they're taking, but I think underlying that is a fear, and they don't feel safe.
So the people that want to travel with COVID, and that they're saying they want this freedom, but they're actually doing it because they're not feeling safe, that they have some fear.
Yeah.
Somebody like the
that,
Trump supporters who are saying, I want to do all this, and it's really not because they're feeling safe, but they're doing it because of some fear or lack of safety.
yeah, I just think, yeah, back to your observation that fear is always is often an underlying motivator or instigator for a lot of other feelings and actions, and blame. And that's what I'm trying to get at, is that, I'm not sure I'm explaining it well, it's just that a lot of people are acting out of fear and not from safety, but they acting freely. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, well, what I'm hearing is that you're wondering if what you're saying is making sense, and what I hear you say is that people are acting out of fear. They're wanting this freedom, but it's kind of coming out of fear. And you're kind of looking at the motivations for people's actions and trying to identify fear as the action of these people who are wanting to go to Disneyland or not wear masks. And so, yeah, there's something about fear and freedom there, wanting freedom, but it's really coming out of fear. And
yeah, and right now I feel like I'm in the middle of a big giant damn forest and don't know my way out, so I'm going to stop there.
yeah, so you kind of feel like you're in a forest. You're not quite sure how to get out of that forest, so you just think this is a good point to stop.
Yeah, I feel heard. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Speak to Ulrika. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, listening.
So yeah, what made me, I would come up with Diane is she's saying she feels like she's in a forest. So it's maybe like it's not clear kind of where she's going, but that's a landscape, right? That's an emotional landscape. And it's interesting to describe the landscape, right? It's like, oh, I feel like there's these trees. It feels dark. I don't know. There's no light or something. I think that's something I'm trying to get better at, is to, even if I get into a state, to be able to name the landscape, the emotional landscape, even if it's like confusion and whatever, or lack of clarity, just to describe the landscape. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're linking the forest that Diane was feeling in with your previous metaphor of the landscape. And this is it is about the emotional state that we are finding ourselves in, and be able to step back and name that in the when we are speaking.
Yeah, yesterday in our group, we kind of came, several of the people came to a point where I don't know what else to say. Like, I don't know what, you know, it seemed like the conversation just kind of, everybody said everything, but that's the landscape to describe. Like, what is the landscape of not having anything to say feel like? You know, it feels kind of dark. It feels kind of tired. It feels kind of low energy. You know, it feels like, you know, looking for some light. No light is coming. So just kind of to describe the landscape and get a reflection on that, I think is kind of powerful and something I like to get better at.
Yeah, so your perception is that sometimes this kind of situations come up in empathy circles. Yeah. That yeah, it's not so clear what to say, and then yeah, you want to get better at that, to name the situation, the emotional, what's happening emotionally, and find, yeah, maybe find metaphors for that.
Yeah, and because that, just by naming it, sort of creates a space for something new to emerge. So it's the naming it, of getting a reflection that something is really in the society seems to be kind of collapsing emotionally. And if we can name the collapse and name the space, name the grief or whatever, you know, I think something new can sort of emerge out of that.
So that being able to name what's happening emotionally, that's kind of you feel that this brings a new energy to the situation, and so the whole thing could go a bit further.
Yeah,
Go
it can
to
get
another
worse too.
stage or-
You can name it and you just get even worse. But eventually, I have a hope that kind of doors will open. I mean, when we look at the society right now, it can definitely get worse. You know.
Yeah. Okay. So there's the hope that it gets better, but it could even get worse. So.
For a while.
Yeah, for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel fully heard.
There's still the hope that it could get better. Okay.
Yeah, and
Thank
that was
you.
our time too. So, so we want to take a, so do you want to just lead a feedback, you know, just maybe give some feedback how that was for you and just call on whoever you want to kind of give you feedback? Ulrika?
Yeah, maybe I can first give my own feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have liked to be more prepared for the presentation. Yeah, I had some time today, and I was looking again at the values and reflecting about that. But I see it would have been maybe more interesting to think more about the presentation today. But I really appreciate this conversation we had about that I could bring up this topic again. Yeah, so thank you very much. And yeah, would you like to, Edwin, just continue with your feedback to that round?
Just sure. You know, the one thing with the empathy circle is like you can get by with pretty little description, you know, so I always try to show people the instructions in advance, and, you know, so it seemed, you know, it seemed like a clear instructions to me. I enjoy the different topics. Everybody has these unique different topics. So I kind of enjoyed yours, you know, too. There's the technical issues, you know, with the audio, like there's sort of a whining sound, and, you know, with your computer. And I have the same one on one of my channels on the computer too. It's sort of a high-pitched whining sound. So it's a little bit of a distraction just from a technical point of view. So maybe a different microphone or earbuds. It's just, I don't know if others are hearing it, but it's a little high-pitched whine. And I don't think it's the fan either. I think it's something with the audio, but yeah. So that's kind of, otherwise, yeah, I think you passed the Diane test of not selecting who you're going to speak to. And next week we'll be having challenges. So this is with no challenges.
Yeah, I'll try next time this, or I can try this now. Yeah, there's a little microphone, and
yeah, we don't hear anything. We don't hear, and your microphone is not working at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so.
It might
But
be.
now you're hearing me.
Yeah, now we hear you. There's kind of technical stuff like you can go under the microphone setting and you can select a different microphone. So that's when you plug it in, you might have to go in and do that sort of from a technical point of view.
Yeah, but okay. So, but for now you can also check that after the session.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
We hear you. Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Do you hear us?
Okay, so I'll check that after the session.
Great.
Yes, yes. Mm? Okay, thank you. Yeah, Michelle, would you like to give some feedback?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, like overall, I thought it was very, overall, it was a very good circle. And I think you're really like warm and friendly and very like, very connected and very present. Like when you're listening, I feel like you really listen, like, so it really held the group. And I thought you really, like, yeah, you held the structure of the circle. And so like for a first facilitation, and that wasn't in your native language, the language thing didn't matter at all. Like it seemed pretty fluent. The introduction, I think maybe there was like little parts of it I got a small bit confused, but I think that's just because it was the first one. I think is like, you know, and sometimes a little bit with the audio, it was quite difficult just because of the audio coming in and out. But it was really like, for me, it was a really, really good circle, and it felt really, yeah, I think your being and your presence like really like made it felt very warm, and the topic was gorgeous. It was really it was really lovely. So yeah, it was powerful.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you, Michelle. Diane, would you like to feedback something?
You're muted, Diane.
Some people would like to have the power to mute me more often. I think overall it was very smooth. You know, you shared in the beginning, this is your first time and you didn't have a lot of time to prepare. And I think overall you did a really good job. I would never apologize for your English. I mean, I would die if any of the fluency in my other languages would be so fluent as yours is in English. It's very exquisite. And I agree a lot with what Michelle and Edwin have said as far as your warmth and your connection, and your reflections are really, really zingers. I like that. So I'm good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we have about 15 minutes before we're supposed to go back to the full group. We could talk about facilitation or just any questions, or we could actually do a little mini empathy circle on facilitation. I did have, maybe this is something that, so with the process before the call, you know, we're kind of developing this training. This is the fourth one using sort of this process. And so before the call, we were talking about sort of how to approach this. And I had suggested showing a video, the how-to video, before we go into the calls. And then others were saying, well, we really don't want to give people too much information, participants. We want just you to kind of share, you know, where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. So how do you feel? Would you have liked, and I have this, you know, 9-minute video that I've cut to 6 minutes of just the core of how to do the empathy circle. And I thought, well, maybe we could show that. And so I'm just wondering, how are you? What would have helped you get sort of grounded? Is it better just to dive in, you know, from your experience, share, or would you have liked a little bit of a sort of a primer? And why would you want each of, or is there even a third option? So yeah, Ulrika.
No, so if I have facilitated other kind of retreats and things, and I remember that in the beginning I was just sticking to my papers, yeah, and when I did it the third or fourth time, then it got fluent for me, yeah. So my approach is, in the beginning, I would rather like elaborate my thing and stick to it, yeah. And later I get, yeah, of course, maybe there's also some personal stuff in it from the beginning, yeah. But yeah, I remember this experience. Just
I'm not sure I quite understood. You
So-
would in this situation
I myself,
would
I would prepare much more, like have a script and do before, just do even an audio for me, yeah, just in my room before the session, yeah.
Oh, I see.
But that's as the
to make
facilitator, right?
some more rehearsal for me, yeah, as a facilitator.
Okay.
For the presentation of the method, yeah, of the,
and Diane, for you,
as a participant though, like if I were to come in fresh, I kind of probably wouldn't watch the video. It's kind of like too much like school or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the immediate personal connection to just you, the facilitator, sharing their knowledge and bringing people in, inviting people in, and maybe a round of check-ins, I think is much more opening and connecting than watching a video.
Right.
Especially online, because I think people are just going to go do other things. Possibly, you might have some people that watch it, but I think just the doing and then the short explanation and jumping in.
Okay, cool. Any thoughts about that, Michelle? How you would?
Yeah, what's coming up for me is that the longer videos being emailed out to participants in advance, that they can watch them and get up to speed. You know, it's really is a really great tool for them. And I hadn't considered, as a facilitator, using the video at the start, like if it was on Zoom or something, like, you know, that you're facilitating the group. And what came into my thoughts was that, you know, is there a place for an even smaller one, like one of these explainer videos with you know, these doodles that like, you know, that even animates it, and, you know, that's like maybe 2 or 3 minutes long, and, you know, that that a facilitator could use as a tool, that they're like, well, we'll watch this, you know, and that explains it, and then you can kind of do a little recap afterwards to re-emphasize the core points. Could be really useful to have, yeah.
Okay, what would have helped you personally? Like, did you feel comfortable just jumping in, or would you have liked a little bit of a you know, a little primer before we went into the individual groups?
Oh yeah, if I had a primer, I would have used it, because it would have helped with the nervousness. But like, I think I needed to go on the deep end, I think, to just learn, you know what I mean?
But that's a primer about being a facilitator, not a primer for just as a participant coming in for the first time.
No, I mean the primer for the participants, so that I wouldn't have to do as much explaining as a facilitator. It takes like that out. It makes it really simple for me, but then it would take me longer as a facilitator to get comfortable with explaining the process. So yeah, it was definitely a stretch today, but it was a nice one. Like, you know, you know, it was definitely you know, it still felt safe. Like, you know, I didn't feel too out of my comfort zone. But I do think that if it had been available to me as an option for my first time facilitating, I probably would have said, yeah, I'll show the video and then I'll do a recap, you know, and shorten it down for myself. And I think there will be times, you know, when you're facilitating, that it could be like that, you know, my attention is needed somewhere, like there is a technical issue for somebody coming into the room or something like this, and I can kind of lash that on and be like, okay, lads, you can watch this, you know, I can be sorting that out and then recap again. So I think, yeah, I hadn't thought about it, but that would, yeah, definitely help. Cool.
Yeah. Oh, Diane, yeah, see, you're going to say something.
I'm just listening.
Okay.
Well, I guess one thing I had was like maybe screen share a couple of bullet points, like the 4 roles, the time, and the switch kind of thing. Just, and maybe sort of the do's and don'ts, like as a listener, no advice and
Right.
that kind of stuff. Just like
Yeah.
3 or 4 slides or whatever, screen shares.
Yeah, the one I have is 6. There's a 9-minute one. I just cut it down to 6 minutes as sort of the minimum. And I had been showing that to the larger cafes, the 6-minute one. I mean, I would kind of scroll to the point where it just started with the empathy circle description, not the benefits of it, and then show it. And that gave me 6 minutes to show. And then while that was happening, I could sort people into rooms because I'm doing a lot of technical stuff. So I couldn't like describe it and do all the technical stuff unless there was a whole team kind of doing it. So, but then we kind of got a team, and then we just ended up just giving a short description verbally. So, and I think that's more connecting than like you were saying, right, Diane, where if you hear the facilitator share it, that it's a bit more connecting. So I think we have 8 minutes. So anything else that you want to talk about?
Break.
Break? Oh, you need a break?
I'm going to take a quick break.
Okay, let's take a bio break or what have you for, a few minutes if you need to. Sure.
All right, I'll be back.
Oh, I especially like that safety and freedom. Yeah, that the empathy circle. When you speak, the listener gives you all the safety. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the safety.
Yeah.
And when you speak, you have all the freedom. That's
yeah.
I mean, yeah, and actually the fear is when safety or freedom is lacking. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I like about the circle.
Yeah, and actually this.
Yeah, go ahead.
And yeah, and I think you also got to a point, yeah, where this is some biological basis for this, yeah. Yeah, we have this body, yeah, this body who wants to move, yeah. It's freedom, yeah. And of course, it's also in our that's connected to the emotions, yeah. And yeah, so just some. I mean that this polarity between safety and freedom. It's not my own. I have it from another philosophical group, yeah, that I was participating in. Yeah, that I like that very much. What you mentioned. I like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the safety to know that you will be heard. Yeah. There's some things that, and it doesn't matter what the other person will say. I know that all I have to do is empathize with them, and it'll be my turn to respond eventually. So you can say it can be totally wild and crazy, what they say, but there's a sense of safety knowing I just have to reflect to their satisfaction, and then I get to say what I want, and my voice won't be suppressed. And so that there is that sort of safety in that basic structure, and yet there's this total freedom too. Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to do some empathy cafes just on the structure of the empathy circle, the dynamics, and maybe write a book. We could do a group book on the dynamic, like all those type of issues would be really good, to really kind of explore them and be able to write them down and to share them, and just to because it's quite profound.
And there's this thing that we cannot feel free if we don't have the safety. Yeah, they are also, it's this polarity that one cannot exist without the other. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody described the empathy circle as safe enough. It's safe enough. It's not total safety, but it's safe enough.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the. It's good enough to get along, to get to the next step. Yeah. Yeah, and the thing of the landscape. Yeah, you mentioned it yesterday. It was interesting to me. I think I wrote it also in the feedback. And it's about, I was still stuck in some mental thing, yeah. And when you said, it's about what's going on emotionally, yeah. It's also very, gave me another click. Thank you.
Okay, we have about a minute. Anything else? And other questions, comments? We'll be debriefing too, when we get back. But yeah, Diane?
Something I would suggest adding in sort of the introduction for brand new people is the idea of, honor themselves. Like, everyone take care of themselves, and there's an expectation that every person will honor themselves and take care of their needs. If they need to say no, they'll say no. Nothing's mandatory. If they need to take a break, stuff like that.
I'll make a note of that. So just kind of permission to take care of yourself. If you need to take a restroom break or something, or
Be responsible for your own self-care, however you want to phrase it. Honor yourself.
okay, then I'm going to close all the rooms. That'll give us
seconds.
Gives us 60 seconds before going back. So any kind of final comments? All right. Well, thank you so much for this one. The topics were wonderful. I always enjoy the topics that come up. It's always so fun to kind of explore them. So, and I hope you kind of get a bit more comfortable, practice, get more and more comfortable with it.
Yeah. We survived our first facilitation.
Yes. We survived. We survived.
We all did.
Yeah, really, really good topics. I was really enjoyed it. Yeah.
All right, see you in a minute.
Right, see you there.
See you over there.
There's AC.
Okay. All right. Let's see if we have a couple more people. No, one more person, I think, right? Oh. Okay. Got that. How was Sergio?
Yeah, Sergio just got dropped. From
There he is. Okay. All right, great. So welcome back. So we just want to kind of debrief. How is your experience? How, has it affected your thoughts or feelings about facilitating? And just as a way, what strengths did you notice about yourself? Or what potential challenges do you see? I'll go, and I guess I'll start call on people. Lou, David, or Edwin, is there anything you want to say before we embark on this journey? No?
I thought the way you framed the debrief is great.
Okay, thanks. Okay. All right. So Jennifer, would you mind starting us off?
I wouldn't. Thanks, Bill. Yeah, I had a lot of anxiety about this today. Probably less so the facilitation, more doing the introduction, the description of the process. So my group, and it's no surprise, but they were really gentle with me. AC offered to go first, which was really cool. So I got to kind of see a model and know that what I had in my mind wasn't completely off the wall. And yeah, I think it was nice to be able to actually talk about the process. So that was good for me. And then I think the only challenge, one of the challenges that I think that I mentioned to the group was the idea of timekeeping and being a listener. Was a little more of a challenge than I thought it was going to be. In terms of strengths, I think that I am going to be okay at interjecting. As a facilitator, I think I'll be pretty comfortable in that, I hope.
Great. Thanks, Jennifer. Alexandra.
It was great for me. I came in fairly frazzled from a crazy day and some technical issues. So I was a little bit all over the place, but those guys were incredibly patient and amazing modelers, and just thank you very much. I really, that was a lot of good info to absorb, and very clear and some good, I mean, in a very short space of time, because I was very behind the 8 ball. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Alexandra. Victoria.
Let's see. I enjoyed the time so much. So I think that I guess I would say enthusiasm. So I think I enter it with joy and enthusiasm. And it's a great learning experience. And we had some deep conversations, and great modeling was done by our, I guess you would say by Lou, facilitator or leader or whatever in the group. So we gave him some tough challenges there. We wanted to kind of mix it up a little bit. So it was just fun. And I think that one of my strengths would be just coming in with joy and enthusiasm about the work. So.
Great. Thanks, Victoria. Diane?
Yeah, I enjoyed getting that first one under my belt and felt pretty smooth with it. I guess just watching everybody else do theirs, learn a lot and see little things. Like, always ask each participant to make sure they check to make sure they choose their listener before they start. That was a good takeaway for us. And just having compassion for ourselves, that it'll get better and easier and more fluid as we move along.
Yeah, I think it will. Thanks, Diane. Michelle?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. It felt like the deep end, definitely, and I felt some nervousness, but I felt like I learned an awful lot in the process, and I really appreciated the group as well. You know, just really solid group, and yeah, it makes me feel like, you know, it makes me look forward to facilitating circles going. Yeah, it was a really good experience.
Great, thanks, Michelle. Uli.
Yeah, I enjoyed also very much the this circle today. About the presentation, I will have definitely to do more preparation. And for me, I will do it in Portuguese or German. Yeah, I will I will have to translate things and work on it. And we had the idea that we could also use some slide, yeah, when we do the presentation. Yeah, I was happy about some feedback and very interesting topics coming up. Yeah, I appreciated that very much.
Thank you, Uli. Olivia.
Well, I thank you to everyone on my team. I mean, they're all experienced at this, and they were really, they were great. I think my biggest takeaways were the modeling, because able to watch each person and then go, oh, okay, there's another method, and there's another cool thing to think about. And so that was super valuable. And I realized there's things I have to unlearn in order to learn this new methodology. I have to let go of some old methods. No, I wouldn't say old, they're just different methods that I've been trained in. And so that was an aha moment, and how important it is to just be your authentic self. Because when you just bring you and stop worrying about all the details of how it has to be done, it felt a lot more comfortable this time than on Monday for me.
Great, thank you, Olivia. Sue? You're muted. You're still muted? You don't know? You're having, we'll come back to you, see if you can correct that. Great. AC.
Thanks. Yeah, I want to say thanks as well to my group. They were really great to work with, and I really took a lot by way of modeling, especially for like in the aspect of pace. I feel like sometimes my mouth just and the rest of my group was really I thought they did a great job being like slow and intentional with their words, just getting the point across clearly and calmly. So that's a big takeaway and something to work on. Yeah, it was great. I don't know. Thank you.
I'm glad you had a good time. Thanks. And I see Sue is still frozen. Can you hear us, Sue? No, she can't hear us yet. Okay, so she's working. I guess we'll have to look for her maybe in the waiting room if she gets kicked out and comes back in. Okay, moving right along. Sergio.
Well, I appreciated the learning environment. Doesn't have to be painful. I learn better when there is this safety space. So I did appreciate that. And I also was aware that it was an extra load of energy to me, being the first to listen and right away connecting and being the speaker as a facilitator. That was a kind of extra energy that took me, because that's it. It's something I need to deal with. No big deal, but it was more demanding on me to speak right after listening.
Yeah, interesting. Gwen.
Yeah, so just kind of reiterating what everybody's been saying, it was really helpful to hear the introduction multiple times and see how people emphasize different things and include little bits of extra information here and there. Yeah, actually the participants in my circle, it went almost too smoothly. So I think there will be things that I'll be challenged by when people actually try to make a bit of trouble for me. Conflict is definitely one of the things that I find difficult to deal with. So I'm curious how I'm gonna handle that. And yeah, I also want to just thank the people in my circle, because like a lot of the time I was a little bit sad even to let go of the topic and move more about the conversation of facilitation. So we had some good topics and conversations there.
Great, thank you, Gwen. Lou.
Let's see. Well, yeah, I'm kind of resonating with what Gwen said. We had some very rich topics that we were discussing. So when the Empathy Circle was kind of going smoothly, it was very meaningful and satisfying conversation. But then as we moved more into people offering challenges and me responding to them, that migrating more into a discussion about Empathy Circle practice and some of the features of it, and how to respond to different kinds of things. So it was an interesting mixture of both of those things.
Great, thanks, Lou. David. You're muted, Dave. You're muted still. Okay.
I had to find myself first. Oh, I see. I can unmute at the bottom. I think I don't know what happened, but in the first part where we were modeling and practicing for each other, before we actually did any circles, we spent a long time, which I really enjoyed and I thought was really good. But then when it was time to actually run the real circles, the time was kind of compressed. So I feel like that's something I need to work on. I thought everybody did a wonderful job with their presentations, and it was good. Yeah.
Great. And Edwin, I see Sue is trying to get in. Are you dealing with that?
Yeah, I've been trying to, admit it, and it just says joining, okay, and doesn't come in. So it's kind of a technical issue. I don't know what's happened. Up, she just, yeah.
Hey,
yay. I don't know, we said admit, and it just wasn't letting you in. So not hearing you yet. You can go to the little arrow next to the mute. There's you can choose your microphone, and sometimes you can choose a different microphone. Right now your microphone is off. If you want to turn that on, or try to select a different microphone.
Can you hear us, Sue?
Can you nod your head if you can hear us, Sue?
She froze again.
Yeah.
Okay. Some
computer.
Edwin, did you? Oh, there she is. But
try unmuting yourself, Sue.
I think we can try that too.
No, we can't.
Yeah, I can't. Okay. It's
so it's in the.
I mean, I asked to unmute, and it's not doing anything.
Yeah, she looks like she has earbuds in, so she may have the wrong mic or something.
Yeah, and she's not.
So Sue, if you can you hear us, Sue?
Try
She's
talking,
frozen.
Sue.
She's frozen now. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So Edwin, why don't you?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's great to kind of practice this. I just find that everyone gets it comes in with a little bit of anxiety, and the more practice, the better. We didn't have any specific challenges, but we did end up having sort of technical challenges. So I know next week we're going to be kind of going into the individual challenges. One thing I learned as a host is if someone comes into the call after everyone's into groups, as a host, you have to leave your circle and go to the main waiting room to admit that, Alexandra was coming in and I kept sending her, into the room, wouldn't do anything. So that's a good tip. Just leave the circle, wait for the person to come in, admit them, and then they can go in. So that was a real technical, just one of the things. Yeah, Lou?
An alternative to that is to, if you're the host, to keep your circle in the main room. So that if somebody comes in, you can deal with them without leaving.
There you go.
Yeah, I just was really, blown away. Just a lot of potential, a lot of talent and skill. And it really warms my heart when I see a debate like last night, that there are people like that in the world, like you guys in the world, who are trying to listen to each other. It just makes it that much more meaningful to me. And also, generally, I have to say that there are people who come here where English is not their first language. And I always feel so much enriched. I speak one language, if I'm lucky, and the courage and the reaching out, I'm always feeling that I'm really learning so much more. And I appreciate to everyone who's using English as a second language to make that courageous leap. I appreciate it. Okay. Let's see. As we go on, the assignments, I'll just go through this, and then I think I'll turn it over to Edwin, Lou, and David, just to, for anything else, is that we're going to try to hold the empathy buddy call You will not be fined if you haven't done it already. No community service. Well, that's something we're thinking about. And then if you could fill out the feedback survey, that would be helpful. So I'll turn it over to Lou. Anything else you want to?
Just a reminder that in the next class actually will have pretty much the same structure as this class. We'll be practicing the intros again, and then practicing facilitation again. What we will be offering new in the next one is that when you are facilitating, if you would like to have some level of challenge happen in the circle while you're facilitating, you can say yes, and you can say kind of what level, like I just like a 1, you know, or I'd like 5, and then we will, you know, the instructors will offer a little bit of that, and there is kind of a list of facilitator challenges. Have you all gotten that yet, or no?
I'll send it out.
So there is a list of challenges that I started that, you know, are just a collection of things that have happened in circles to me, and so we can pick off that list, and yeah, and that's you know, it's and don't feel obligated to do it. You know, if you want some challenge, if you feel ready for it, great. If not, that's fine too. Whatever you feel ready for.
Okay, Edwin.
Yeah, I'll just add, in terms of the Empathy Buddy call, it's going to be new participants, and I'll send that out in the email, new partners. So if you didn't get a chance to connect with someone else, you have the last time around, and you want to kind of complete that, you're welcome to do 2 Empathy Buddy calls. So get a chance to meet some others, and, you know, just kind of have a chance to chat. It's a lot of fun just to build those that community and those relationships. And I'll send out that new list. And again, is the feedback form. It really helps us a lot to get that feedback, those insights, and it's helps us to kind of address, you know, what your needs are, so we can kind of speak to those, as well as iterate on the training and improve it and refine it, and yeah, so we can spread it.
Thanks, Edwin. David. I could mime. He doesn't have anything to say.
Exactly.
Okay, I will say something. I'm going to steal David's best line. And he talked about, we talked about facilitation as being different from being a participant, in that there are 2 things going. And one thing, when I ever think about that, is a line that David said, who's a musician and comes from a musical family, and that when you're kind of improvising as a musician, you're listening and then talking and speaking through your instrument at the same time. And it's this dual process. And I think that a facilitation has some similarities to that. Fine. Okay, well, it's 10 minutes early. We can let you go. Or are there any other questions, or yeah, Alexandra.
I was wondering how the group would feel, and Edwin and everyone, with letting me listen to the recorded part that I missed tonight.
Oh yeah, we do record, so it will be posted. I had posted it on the Facebook, and it is there last week's, and this one will be too.
But all the modules are not recorded, right?
Only the circle, the main circle that I'm in. If you're with me, you're being recorded. Yeah. So it's yeah. So just a
yeah,
heads
I did
up.
record mine. So I have that recording if somebody wants to review it, but it won't be posted, I assume, on Facebook.
I'd love to watch whatever people are okay with me watching, just because I'm kind of new to this particular method, and you know.
Okay.
So
the easiest thing would go to watch Edwin's circle, and if you want to watch, I'll save my circle, and then just let me know, and then I'll be happy to send you the link. Okay. Anything else?
I just have a quick question. Have you now moved to doing this all online, or are you doing social distancing versions of it? Have you tried it out online like we've been doing?
Edwin, you want to?
I didn't quite,
Oh.
you mean, are we doing this in
No, we're
person?
doing
Normally,
it
I know
as
it's
well,
it's
or-
in face-to-face, and but I'm wondering if you've been doing it now online because of all the COVID. And
both. It's convenient and COVID, and we have done it. Like Lou does community, had done in his community and actually in a cafe. So it's that's been in person, but I think because of COVID, he's not doing it in person, as well as we have this empathy tent that we've taken out, and you know, Bill would take it out to farmers markets, set it up. People would come. We do empathic listening. We also do empathy circles, and we've done training, like those pictures of Lou in a circle. I don't know if you've seen those. Those are actually at UC Berkeley. We have a group of like 25 students would come and we do empathy circle training, like right there in Sproul Plaza. But right now, because of, you know, COVID, we're really focusing on the online. And Lou's got something.
I'll just add to that. There are advantages to doing circles in person, and there are advantages to doing circles online. And we've been doing both for a long time. And I've learned that there are benefits to both and limitations to both. And I've been doing them. I actually just started doing some face-to-face, socially distanced. We go to a park. Each person brings a chair, and we sit pretty far away from each other. So we're doing them outside. And I'm doing that because the people that I was trying to engage wouldn't meet online. They didn't want to have a conversation online. They wanted to meet face to face. I am hoping that after meeting face to face and having some connection, they would be willing to do it online as well. But at least initially, they weren't willing to do that.
And one more comment about that. I've been doing it in my family. So we have family empathy circles. So you can definitely do those in person. And, you know, we have a mixed political family with conservatives, you know, Trump supporters and progressives. So you can imagine. So I think that that's a real kind of an area that we could do more in. And I've been thinking of doing like a weekly empathy cafe on how do we foster empathy circles in our families, since everybody's kind of stuck at home, you know. Yeah, and if you're interested in that, you know, give me a twinkle fingers because we can kind of set that up, and I think that would really be a good growth area to, you know, develop these tools specifically for how do you bring it into the families.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, well, I hope to meet you in empathy buddy calls, and next week we'll be coming in and we'll essentially practice this again, so you have lots of time to practice it. Lou, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, two other things I thought of. One is that there is a Friday morning empathy circle at 10 a.m. Pacific time. If you want to practice facilitating, there might, depending on how many people show up, there might be a chance for you to do that. And then there's also a weekly Empathy Circle Facilitators Support call at 12:30 Pacific time, where anyone who is conducting circles or is planning circles can come and talk about their challenges or their successes with doing circles, or their worries, concerns, celebrations around what they're planning to do, and get advice from others, get support from others, do role playing if you have difficult situations you're working on. So it's the ongoing support group, which, you know, we would tell you more about again after this training is over, but it's also there now if you wanted to partake of it.
Yeah, and just adding on to that, usually I'm there and I'd be happy to co-host with you. So if you don't, or co-facilitate. And so therefore, if you're in a breakout and you just want, you know, somebody on there, I'd be happy to do that. Okay. Edwin.
And it just keeps going, yeah. So I'm just going to put the link in to that. that is part of our support, which I talked about last time. So we have it on that for this cohort website. There's a section under extra references, the Facilitator Support. So the that group that Lou was just talking about, there's a link to that there. And second, actually, this Sunday, I'm going to be doing a series of empathy cafes on Sundays with a group out of Toronto, and it's about mediation. So they're looking at how do you do mediation between different philosophical groups, and I could use some extra help with facilitators who want to come to that, and I'll send out an email, and if the times work for you, you can actually attend that, and you can be assigned to actually facilitate a breakout circle too. So there's a heads up for that. That's it for me.
Okay. Okay. If there's nothing else.
Twinkle fingers going out.
There's
So
twinkle
if you saw the
finger.
group, we saw
Yeah.
twinkle fingers. We got a good photograph, picture of that for our publicity. So goodbye. So.
Bye, everyone.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Be safe.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Thanks all.
Or on Friday.
Yeah, hugely grateful. It was magic. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.